my friends, and welcome to another Live with Lava Sub. I am Lava Sub, or you can call me Weston. I am on this mask once again. We are painting, we're finalizing, we're finishing it up. There's probably going to be some changes today. In my kind of passing by this mask so many times during the last week, I've seen a couple of things that I'm not totally in love with. So we're going to see if we can modify here or there a couple of the decisions that I've made and hopefully wrap this up today. I did a little bit of work off stream. I kind of started in on this wand here. And yeah, I'm just, I'm having a blast kind of jamming away at this thing. Yeah, so other than that, we have my socials and my Venmo in the chat there if you want to donate to the cause and whatnot. It's been a wild month, and I am kind of just now like in that place where I've been stressed for weeks and weeks, and finally coming out of that to like very what's the word, where kind of apprehensively, like always afraid that there's going to be another thing that we didn't see that's just going to come and smack us upside the head, and we're going to stress out again. So I'm like feeling stressed over not feeling stressed, which is the funny, wonderful things my nasty little brain does to me. And that's why we make art, right? That's why I make art. One of the reasons. Oh, I got a visitor. Gotta come up, buddy? You just want to be a little stinker? My roommate's out of town for a writer's retreat. So we're taking care of the kittens, and we would get extra attention. Come up. Can I pick you up? No. It's not time for pickups. So you'll notice I'm getting a different color blue, much, I don't know, bluer blue, cerulean. You're one of them technical people. Kind of like more on the neon end of cerulean, but I'm not going to argue with it. I like this color. I don't really know colors like that. We're just friends. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Come on. Maybe I'll show you at some point during the program the stuff that I make with the leftover paint. Last week was an interesting one. You know what? Before I even get into this, let me show you what I did after I got off stream to get rid of some of the paint that I couldn't use on the mask. I was still waiting for chunks to dry. Let's see. It's a very old sketchbook. It's render paper. I don't even think I'm pretty sure it's been discontinued. But I used a lot of the blue paint to kind of make these very loose kind of pieces. I don't know. I've got a clear shot of it, but yeah, I had a lot of fun with that. I like making sure that all of the materials I'm putting out get used in some constructive way. And I know with that blue background, it's definitely calling for more definition. I might go back in with some pens or something like that, and make something new out of it. So, it's like, I don't know. You don't gotta waste when you got sketchbooks and stuff like that lying around. You have some paint left on your palette, and you're looking at your canvas like, I don't know even where to put that. I don't want to put paint where it doesn't need to be, That's my suggestion. doing a little bit of this cerulean over the top of some of that silver I did on my testers last week, just to see how it's going to go over the top, because that's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to try and draw more color into the areas that are fairly subtle at this point, because the green is so overwhelming a color. The light blue that I was using was not necessarily maybe the right color, I don't know. But I like where this is going to go. So I am applying. A lovely week. I guess I should. I always mean to tell you at the beginning of the program, trigger warnings. I do have a foul mouth. I like to talk about things that I just tend to end up in subjects that could be pretty triggering potentially for some people. And if that's not your vibe, I totally get that. I don't want to make anyone uncomfortable here. I also want to say I might not see your chats right away. If you are talking to me in there, I unfortunately don't have a view of chat at the moment, and my wonderful producer is actually in the middle of moving, and we're not going to be in constant communication as we usually are on stream. So, yeah. If you do have questions, don't be afraid to ask in stream. I'm sure we will get to them at some point. Sam is going to be dropping in occasionally because they're wonderful. Taking time out of their crazy schedule to help me do stuff like this. Get to it. Just be patient. I'm just retreading the same ground inside of the nose, those high cheekbones. Reapplying this new color on top of the old, which is actually going to give us a really interesting texture once I kind of smooth it out as it's drying. Because I've added a little bit of water to the brush, it's actually going to dry fairly quickly. That's going to help us not lose a lot of the texture work we put in already. So, yeah. I'm going to keep some of that texture. We go back over it with our, I'm going to go back over it with my fingers. I don't know if I've ever brought this up on stream before, but one of my favorite shows is called 10th Kingdom. Has anyone ever seen 10th Kingdom? Basically, it's kind of similar to Shrek, and it came out not too far behind it, except for the ogre with onions isn't the main character. It's a girl. I guess it's not really like Shrek that much. And it's like Shrek in that it's a fairy tale world full of fairy tale creatures and storybook characters that are given new context in a shared kind of universe. It was a mini series on the Hallmark Channel when I was in high school, and it's a fun little piece of fantasy, fun little story. It's not like the most incredible thing you'll ever see, I'm sure, but I have a lot of fun with it. It's very silly. It's actually made by the same dude who directed or wrote, I can't remember, the not Oliver Twist, the what's the guy? He grow real big, and then he real small, and then he meets some talking horses. Got the Lilliputians. Gulliver's Travels. That's it. Yeah. The one with Ted Danson that many of us, if you're around my age, watched in grade school history or literature kind of classes. That's where I was first introduced to that version of Gulliver's Travels. I was like, hey, it's got Ted Danson in it. It's pretty cool. So when they did 10th Kingdom, it was kind of just like fun little story about this girl from New York, I think in her like 20s, living with her dad. In this complex, this building, the Spartan building, where he's the maintenance guy. You get a sense pretty quickly that they've got some, issues in their relationship. He's kind of like maybe less ambitious than his daughter wishes he was, or something. She's, working as a waiter in this place where she doesn't feel very like. She feels like she has people there that she cares for, but she's kind of disconnected. And it's kind of the B plot going on at the same time, being told at the same time, is in fairy tale world, the Nine Kingdoms. This prince is turned into a dog by Snow White's stepmother. So it's not that he's just turned into this dog. It's that him and this dog change places. Like his brain goes into the body of this dog, and this dog's brain goes into the body of the prince. Normal stuff. When he finds a magic mirror, this dog with the prince with this dog body finds a magic mirror that takes him to the 10th Kingdom, which is our world. 10th Kingdom. They walk the magic mirror and they're here. And this dog gets hit by Virginia on her bike on her way to her day job. And she feels real bad, so she takes him into work. And then the queen's minions, this group of orcs, trolls, yeah, trolls, and this werewolf enter our world after the dog. So Virginia's the main character, is protecting this dog against the forces of evil. Well, yeah, I guess I'm just going over this entire plot just bit by bit. So I hope you're ready for that. I'm just going over the plot of a movie now. Brilliant. So yeah. So Virginia, you know what? Maybe I'll tell it like a story. I'm painting, so it probably won't be very good. But that's what I'll compromise here. So I don't want to just be that guy, just telling you the plot of a movie. Boring. So, so Virginia is pursued by the forces of evil. Her life in danger. Her father's life in danger. The trolls prove to be supernaturally powerful, gifted with great strength and endurance. While they are in New York, they learn about the Bee Gees and become really into that band. which it sounds great, and it is. I promise you, it is great. So these trolls get obsessed with the Bee Gees, and Virginia traps them in an elevator. But the werewolf finds Virginia's apartment. She finds this werewolf finds her father there, and sorry, my roommate's cat's going in the places he knows he's not supposed to go. I might have to lock him up real quick. He's being a little naughty guy. Hey, little naughty guy, get out of there. He's like climbed behind the TV. Get on out of there. Come on. You want to hang out? You can hang out with me if you want to. He's a little shoulder cat. See if he hangs out at all, but I think he's busy right now doing cat stuff. This is Ash. He is very sweet. He likes lots of pets. So me and Ash are telling you this story about Virginia and the 10th Kingdom. So the werewolf, he gets to Virginia's house, finds her father there, and tempts Virginia's dad with this magical bean, much like you would hear of in Jack and the Beanstalk, but instead of making a beanstalk, it actually just gives him wishes. So it's pretty cool. He gets like magical like wishes and stuff. He wishes for beer, and his fridge starts overflowing with beer. He tells the property owner, landlord, that he wants him to kiss his butt and his whole family to kiss his butt and like be his servants for all time. And like they do that. Pretty cool stuff. But after a while he realizes that these are like bargains. There's always a downside to this, to his wishes. So yeah. Anyway, it's great. Virginia and her dad and the dog, everyone end up going back to fantasy world, the 9 Kingdoms. What you munching, little man? You munching on my hairs? They go back to the 9 Kingdoms, and there's like, because the whole plot was to get the dog, to the prince to be a dog so that she could control him. Snow White's like stepmother. Yeah. Then they go and adventure through Fairy Tale Land, and the werewolf, his name is Wolfie, and he convinces them that he's actually on their side. And then they hang out a lot, and he's really into Virginia. Virginia gets really into him. They meet like Little Bo Peep and stuff. Anyway, it's not only cute, it's kind of horny and also pretty good. Especially for like a made-for-TV miniseries, like in the fantasy genre in the early 2000s. There wasn't a lot of fantasy back then that wasn't Lord of the Rings, so kind of ahead of its time, in a way. Very, very ahead of its time. Me twisting my mustache very intellectually. Oh, oh, little baby. What are you doing? You just climbing? Climbing all over? He's so precious. Can you hear him purr? So, enough about the 10 Kingdoms. I think I've done enough to bore you with that. You should probably watch it. It's pretty good. if you like fantasy like I like fantasy, which is pretty much anything fantasy I will like. So yeah, I told you I was going to do this, so now I'm just going over those brush strokes with a little wet finger, kind of pushing it into the texture of the mask that we've created. You want to get down? You're putting your butt in my face, and I'm not a fan. Oh, little guy. See him? Oh, there he goes. Okay, he's going over to his box. It's the box that has all my commander decks in it, and as soon as he came into the house, he kept sitting in it. Like, there was nowhere you could put it. He wouldn't find it and want to sit in it. It was really frustrating because that's all my commander decks, bro. Also, I keep like cables and stuff in there because I don't play Magic as much as I want to. Although me and my partner did play some Magic yesterday, and good time. Anyway, yeah. So I just eventually I put a pillow inside of the crate so that when he sits in it, it's not like crushing my commander deck box. Distributes the weight evenly. And the pillow's just a little bit bigger than the actual opening of the crate, so it kind of has to like stretch, you know? So I don't know if it's a good idea, but it kind of works. Don't judge me. Don't judge me, my own brain. How dare you? Okay. Not gonna lie, like 40% of why I haven't done anything in a minute is because I have no idea what I'm doing. A lot of what I'm gonna change today is just gonna be these big coppery red eyebrows. I don't necessarily love it. I think I might try and change that hue to purple. And I think I may end up. You know what? Let's. I don't want to say what I'm gonna do yet. I'm gonna make it a mystery. Are you gonna get your buddy Scooby Dooby Doo, and are you gonna help him solve this mystery? And I'm speaking in code, of course. About you should tag, send this to a friend. Tell them to come watch me do art. See, I'm very crafty and good at self promotion. I like this purple a lot more than that copper. And I think actually it'll sit really nicely on top of that. Grab a little bit bigger brush. Otherwise, this is going to take a while. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So, has anyone been watching the new Trigun? I am very enjoying it. I'm a big fan of original Trigun. And I'm also a fan of the Trigun. I don't know why. 'Cause it's cute. It's goddamn cute. But I do think they did a good job of kind of like updating the material. Vash is not nearly as like horny. Like it's not creepy. If you were looking for creepy Trigon, you might not like this. Because yeah, that's like one of the big things that turned me off of Trigon at this point is it's like, why are you so creepy, Vash? Stop being so creepy. And he's like, no, fuck you. I'm gonna be master creepy. I'm like, cry. But yeah, in the new Trigon, he's not as creepy. He seems very nice. Seems like a sweet little humor boy. I'm here for it. Got another thing I've been watching. I'm watching a lot of what do you even call them? Like dating reality shows? Yeah, that seems right. Um, I don't know if y'all have seen Love Island. I kind of lost faith in humanity for a minute there. It's like, yeah, we're fucked. This is bad. But yeah, I think it's always good to remind myself when I'm feeling a kind of way about a dating reality show that they're just reality shows, which means they are not actually how people are. They're selling us an image. They're selling us hegemony. Um, Reinforcement of cultural injection. Um, which good to know. Yeah, it was really interesting because we watched a bunch of Love Island, me and my partner, and then it was really funny. We started watching uh, Are You the One, which was an MTV dating reality show. Not a lot of people are like super into or whatever, I guess. But the 8th season of that show, which was shot right before the pandemic. I think it came out in 2019. It was mostly, it was all like not genderqueer, but sexually fluid, kind of bisexual people, not even polyamorous, but uh, yeah, that's the way they put it was sexually fluid. I mean, I definitely how probably a couple of those people kind of think about it, but yeah, there's a lot of bisexuals and pansexuals, and I was here for it. There was even a couple of trans folks and NBs. I thought that was really cool. because that is one of the big things that I go and I like watch a lot of these reality shows, and I'm like, man, I feel like things would be different. Like, I want to go on one of these shows just to fuck with it. Like, I'm polyamorous, gender fluid, and yeah, have a bit of experience with like uh, with those kinds of subjects. And I feel like there could be so many learning moments, especially just predominantly about like communication in a lot of those shows with cis het people specifically. Like a lot of things that you learning about polyamory are things that I think uh, I want more cis people to be aware of, or more monogamous people to be aware of. Um, because we could all have better relationships with everybody, not just sexually. Like that's one of the big things. Like with Love Island is a lot of the time in the ones that I've watched, it's like people kind of are like, yeah, let's be friends, and then they like don't talk to each other once they like let's be friends as kind of code for yeah, we're not that attracted to each other. And I think it's a lot of just like that kind of like white lie, kind of trying to spare somebody's feelings by being dishonest with them. But I think kind of arises, and I would say that that can happen, in any community, or any, no matter what your relationship kind of style is, whether you're monogamous or you're poly or whatever, Uh, but pardon me. Yeah, it a lot of it. It's just learning how to communicate in healthier ways, learning how to be honest. Uh, these things are trying to be transparent about your actions and your feelings. Things like that are things that we all benefit from learning and are usually taught or understood in more poly circles than monogamous ones. But there's plenty of people who have, monogamous, relationships that are healthy. So, not trying to discount that at all. I don't want to be one of those people who thinks it's the only way you can be because it's who they are, like it's, not the kind of person I want to be. I think if monogamy is what you and your partner, it's how you guys work best, do that. No judgment here. Live your damn life, be happy. You only get one of these things, and it kind of sucks being here. So fucking have fun whatever way is fun for you. Um, being is at least a good time. Yeah, and that's another thing that I think about a lot when watching these shows is that the idea of love is often talked about like this magical fucking thing uh, that only some people are afforded. And I think what's really unhealthy about that mentality is like just because you haven't had romantic love in a while doesn't mean you should like dismiss the kind of love you might see from a parent or even a pet. I think that kind of love is, I guess what I mean is that love is this kind of feeling, trying to rationalize it with science is possible, but I don't think it's necessarily structured or like that strictly helpful. You know what I mean? To people trying to find more love, more compassion, more connection in their day-to-day lives. I think in a lot of ways we are the idea of love is so enforced in these very strict and narrow kind of ways that oftentimes people who are very loved feel unloved because the love that they're receiving looks different than the kind of love that they're told they're supposed to be having. Uh, like a lot, we can shit talk a lot of online communities. I think that a lot of them call for it, but I don't think it's necessarily like uh, constructive to say that there isn't a certain kind of love to be found when you can't find it for whatever reason in uh, in the like local kind of community where you live. I think that sometimes it's harder for some people to connect for any number of reasons. And I think finding like companions and friendships in online spaces can be really healthy and helpful to feel not quite so alone. And I would even count that towards places that I wouldn't want my worst enemies to go, and I know my worst enemies do go. Uh, yeah, there's places on the internet where toxic kind of relationships and people just generally do reside. Uh, and yeah, definitely don't support those kinds of. I'm speaking kind of vaguely, but you know what I'm talking. Ultimately, like places that are radicalizing young kids into these misogynist ideas, like the manosphere or right wing radical reactionary, Twitter things like that. I think there's plenty of community to be found there. I think that can be fairly toxic and unhealthy, but yeah, I think the problem isn't that these people are disconnected from their or the problem isn't that these people are finding a community and enjoying life for maybe the first time in a while or something. I think that those communities are specifically fostering those kinds of vulnerable people to join their communities to uh, see their malicious causes in a bigger have a bigger spread. I think that ultimately that's what they are doing. Um, but yeah, I know that yeah, that's why I think saw like saw something on the internet in the last week that it's not an uncommon thing to see. I think it's pretty common discourse. It's a frustrating one to me. It's like this idea of leftist infighting being good actually, and like I mean I have uh I have a lot of thoughts about that, mostly because I'm an anarchist. I would say I'm an anarcho-communist. But I think a lot of the reason I say that is because the way that I was radicalized was by a Marxist-Leninist, and I loved what they were saying. It never felt like the idea of the state and things like that were just like kind of not necessarily. Well, I mean, first of all, I didn't understand necessarily. It took me quite a while to understand how different a socialist or communist state would look as opposed to the one we live in now, especially after, um, you know, uh, nationwide upheaval, let's say, to be clever with our words here. But yeah, I think that there's worlds of difference between how these things look. I think it's interestingly enough, it's the reason why I feel like democratic socialism is sometimes. It's why I'll talk about it like it's a half measure often, because it can be easily implemented here, but it doesn't go far as a lot of the things that I would prescribe as a better way for society to function and help those on the margins often. A lot of democratic social kind of policy would help a lot of the people in dire positions right now. But I would ask, to what degree, for how long? So, like, I think one of the things that always scared me was this concept. You hear it often in Marxist circles, a dictatorship of the proletariat. I think the phrasing scares a lot of people because dictatorship is inherently something that we associate with a very ultimately a very fascist kind of way of running a country. You know, a dictatorship. A dictator is someone who typically holds all of the power, and it's common knowledge. These are things that are not good for society, for any number of reasons. Yada yada. The point I'm making here is that a dictatorship of the proletariat looks very differently than what a dictatorship is. Would you call a workers' union a dictatorship of the proletariat? No, absolutely not. Even like I can't remember the style of these stores are, but worker cooperatives, things like that. These are closer to what that would look like, but you have to zoom it out, maximize it to its greatest potential. Where in the bourgeois class and economic inequality is completely balanced, and the proletariat, aka 99.9% of us, or slightly less, but you get the idea. 98 minimally percent of us have all of the collective power, ownership of the means of production, things like that. It's not a dictatorship in that one person controls a government. It's a dictatorship in that proletarians finally get our, in a way, our country back. Our ability to be represented appropriately by a government. The ability to dictate the economic need rather than a concept like a free market, which obviously we know is not free. Look at outside. So yeah, I think. Sorry, that was quite the tangent, but yeah. There were a lot of concepts, especially within the idea of communism, that seemed, especially because of how we associate communism as a society, with all of the decades of propaganda being thrown at us since, practically the founding of this nation, about communism. I think that it's hard, maybe not uniquely hard for Americans, but definitely on a level that is difficult to communicate past in any kind of good faith, healthy way for anyone, I think the only way to really talk to people about communism is take all of the rhetoric, all of the buzzwords or whatever completely out of the equation and explain it to people, although that tends to sound very condescending, which ultimately is the problem. You don't want to seem like you're condescending to somebody, but trying to leap around is putting a barrier between you and perhaps enlightening a comrade, It's, yeah, one of the more difficult things we have kind of to deal with on the us radical lefties. It's one of the big barriers to overcome. That doesn't mean it's too big to overcome. I mentioned like some of the rhetoric, some of it's sexy as hell. Like, we have nothing to lose but our chains. Daddy. I love that shit. Are you kidding me? But yeah, I think that's it's funny. We did our long podcast about Willow. I talked about subtext a lot, and interpretation of text. And I think it's interesting. It's an interesting thing to talk about in this context because, we see a lot of. We see not too infrequently the right or even the center appropriate the rhetoric of the left because it is effective and because it is great. But also because some of it, like you have nothing to lose but your chains, can be fairly easily modified and appropriated to run propaganda for the worst causes. I think it's like it's not a full meal, I think that's one of our big hurdles, especially as I was mentioning, getting over the centuries of anti-communist propaganda that this country is today even still pumping out on a regular basis. To the point where many people, especially during the early days of Ukraine, the conflict going on there, we're talking about Russia like it was still the USSR, which it has not been for several decades. So, yeah, and I mean, we can't expect the U.S. educational system to bridge that gap for us. They're half the reason the propaganda has been so successful, because often it's incorporated right into our, what's the word? Like the class plan. Pretty sure there's a fancy word for that. But yeah, into the curriculum. So yeah, it's something that, like most things, we have to fight twice as hard because of all of the resistance. That's wild. Yeah, I barely had to put any purple over this layer, and it is clean on there. Now I have to figure out. I've started painting the stick absentmindedly, just trying to finish up with that purple. Although now the part that I was painting is dry, and I can move back to that. I need to put something in here so that it balances. Okay. Okay. Cool. Done so. Back to the eyebrows. That's what I was saying, right? That's what I'm doing. That's what I was saying I was doing. What? I think it's time to go back to the purple in the eyebrows. I do like that quite a bit more. And actually, I like this blue even as much as I was thinking I was going to, basically. Yeah. So, well, I've still got some purple on this palette here. Yeah. Put some in here. Into those eyebrows. Well, it's fairly clean coverage. I do want it to really pop. There's still little spots of that copper coming through. No, I think that's a look for her. It's not what I was trying to do. Maybe after this layer, I'll just leave it. Whatever stays for good. Pretty fucking good. Maybe I'll do another layer on these lips. No. No. Let's look at her again. Yeah, we're gonna call it there. But I still got some purple. Let's open that sketchbook back up. Let me just throw some in. Huh? What do you think of that? Oh boy, I made a real sad face in here. Sorry you can't see what I'm doing. I'll show you in a second. Don't have work. I don't have space on my I don't have room on my workspace. Let me put it down. Little bit of an inconsistency in this blue here. I think I can fix it if I sharpen this little baby up. Called the baby. Sometimes I was afraid I might be a stinker again. My great fears. Little kitten being a stinker. I'm so feared of it. There we go. Okay. I don't remember where we had my little newsroom, but hopefully that's close. Actually, we're pretty close to the finish line here. I don't know how much more needs to be done to this. I was gonna put a couple of other colors on here and then use this neon green to try and go over the top to blend some of the transition. I think I should grab a little more gold as well. Yeah, let's do that. Clean our purple off that brush. Let's grab some gold. Go back in where we already have put it. Not here, but in the sockets of the eyes. Mostly just because there's a little bit of the areas in between the purple and the underlayer where it kind of bleeds over to this gold. I don't want to have too much water on this brush. Yeah, glad I changed the color. I like the purple a lot more than I like that copper. Goes much better with the gold I've got going on here. Very regal, right? Or I guess if this is more your vibe, it's more Los Angeles like. It was at one point. No longer my vibe, but no judgment. As I said, I totally get the appeal of sports. It's just no longer my vibe. Oh, do I want to put gold anywhere else? I don't think I do, but my brain keeps going, do it, do it, do it, do it. Paint the nose gold. Paint the chin gold. Paint the mouth gold. Paint it all gold. Paint it gold. Gold. There's gold in them there hills. Let's see an experiment thing. Oh, goodness. I'm getting lots of good paint scraps today. Get off of there. Okay. Probably more than I need, but right now that's okay. Oh no, I forgot. Get your little brush clean. You're gonna need it. Need it. Ah! The brush went everywhere it was not supposed to be. But somehow didn't get on the carpet. I'm gonna do a little trick. I'm gonna steal over to this gold. Move it right over here. Okay. Then we're gonna mix that with a little yellow. See what that looked like. Yellow. Interesting. Huh. Hmm. Alright, I kind of like this yellowy gold. I'll see what I think of it later, but I don't think it can hurt to try this. I'm going to start out with a pretty small brush on this one. Cleaning off my palette knife. Carry getting that paint more centralized. I knew I hadn't mixed up much of it. I was going to want every last little bit. What we strive for is an art. I'm just very lightly doing like the very edge of the lips. It's like a kind of little lip liner. I left myself a pretty defined edge on those lips. I don't know where I have wet paint right now. Yeah. Really glad we have this metallic paint mixed in there because this yellow on this purple would look kind of more mustardy than it should if there wasn't some gold mixed in. Anyone else who used to really dislike mustard as a little kid and now they love it? I wouldn't go like eat a tablespoon of mustard. Kind of love mustard, but there's certain things that you just can't do it without mustard, right? Barbecue without mustard? Fuck out of here. You are absolutely outside your damn mind. Doing barbecue without mustard. You know, I should have gotten a little bit more of a squared off rather than rounded off brush for this job. I need it to at least have some kind of point to it. See if I've got a really small chisel. I think that one I have out is about as small as it gets. Yeah, that's the way it is. So let's see if I can even be careful with this. You know, it's like gonna suck up all that paint all at once. It's in the water because they're getting waterlogged. I mean, I suppose we could just mix up more paint. It's not going to be too difficult. Or crazy little brain screaming the name Joey Buttafuoco at me. I don't even remember who that is. They were one of the 90s crimers of my childhood. Just names. I guess I'm associating it with alluring a bobbit, but I don't think that's the same thing. Pretty sure they're very different things. They just have very silly brain. I did end up having to mix more of this yellowy gold. That's We've got it down to a science now, my friends. And this way I'm not going to be driving myself up a wall trying to chase a slight line. I can actually just pop it on in. Yeah, I guess if you remember who Joey Buttafuoco is, let me know in chat. No pressure. Okay. Well, we have done it, my friends. We've done it. A little cray over here on this side, but nothing we can't just fix real quick. Oh man. Damn it, I wish I had more light. Almost might have been better in the other room. I don't know if you noticed, but I'm back in my office, my usual spot. Office, our shared, as you may have learned in the last couple of streams, it's our shared, like, common area of the apartment. Usually used for streaming and things like that. Because no one really goes in here very much. Doesn't have a lot of, like, you can't go to other rooms from it, so kind of just hangs out on its own here. Kind of gives me an opportunity to kind of chill. Not have to worry about kind of background stuff. But that other room did have a table that's a bit higher. Oh, pardon me. And it also had a light coming right down over top, which we noticed at first was at least at first was kind of washing me out. Eventually, we had better light than I feel like, at least from my perspective, better lighting than we've had in any of the streams in this room. So I don't know, maybe we'll go back there if no one in the house is opposed to it. Probably not, because that's literally just like the middle of the house. Everybody's always going in and out of that area. Yeah, I mean, you may have noticed the last couple streams Scott walking through, or maybe Cat reaching up for a snack, but yeah, not to mention the actual, like, four-legger cats. Partner's also cat. But, yeah. And, like, they're cool about it. They're real understanding people, and we've been dealing with all the funky shit from fires to leaks going on in the apartment for weeks now, as well as, like, a change in management. I don't know if I even mentioned that on the last stream. Yeah. It's been a interesting couple of weeks in the complex. So I always say complex because I used to live in like a more of that kind of vibe, but this is definitely an apartment building. I live in the city. An apartment building. Can't remember if I mentioned on last stream, but I did make a February goal, so we're in the clear at the moment. Hopefully, very soon we're gonna get some news, some good news. I can't talk about it here, but will mean a little bit more stability for both of us, which we both really need. We all really need, everyone in the apartment. So for that. I don't know. I almost want to. No, I don't want to do that. I'm almost doing like a little eyeliner vibe right now. All right. This looks pretty fucking cool. I gotta admit. So we got that big fan brush, or not fan brush, flat brush out. A little one again. I think it's still wet. Yeah, it's wet enough. Clean up a little bit here. Places that I went outside the lines. So I've always been that artist. Really bad at staying inside the lines. Just like in society, man. Always outside the lines. Oh, fuck. Got my brush in the paint. Now, a good time as any to remind you, my paint outfits, they are for sale. I'm even selling the pants now. You heard it here first. So, I don't wear underwear. Buyer beware. But yeah, I just think it's funny and cute and endearing that I do things like this. If you do not, let me know, because I will tell you I don't care. Not about your opinion, but, just that I'm going to keep doing it. You don't have to support it, but you should. Because to support it is based in PogChamp and all those cool things. Isn't that what you want from your life? I think it is. So yeah. P.S. We're gonna have to get some more purple. Just this one spot that's kind of doesn't know what color it wants to be. Some of the gold, there's some of the purple, there's some of this crimson copper combo, all kind of hanging out in the same spot. And that's not what we're gonna make some changes real quick. I brought this up on stream the other day, but I was just remembering the one moment during like last spring where there was like a month every day my neighbor was watching Casino. I was really worried about their mental health, I would tell you. Because I was noticing my mental health going in the shitter having to listen to them watch Casino every day. It's like, God, I don't want this. I don't want to hear Joe Pesci screaming today. Can we not? Can we not have? Can we have a day with no misogynist violence? Please. So yeah, I was just fondly reflecting upon that today. It's like, oh yeah, remember that entire month where it was just constant casino all the time? That was bad. Let's obsess about that for 14 hours. Oh, man. Right. Hmm. Well, that does look a lot better. Oh, pardon me. Look what happens if I add some water equation. This sequestering. This acquisition. My brain is a mess right now, y'all. I am sorry. I hope it's at least entertaining. I wouldn't know anymore. I'm good. Thank you, Sam. I guess I'm doing a little bit of seeing how a wash is gonna look. I don't know if I want to do it yet. I'm very scared. Don't like it. Just not sure exactly what to do with this chin. Tell you what, I'll be right back. Y'all hang in there. I'm gonna go refill my coffee. Alright, hello. I guess I just realized if I scooted my setup forward, the light would be better. Can't really move my light further backward because where the power cables are. Maybe I'll just, it might blast me out here, but I'm getting frustrated by not being able to see what I'm working on. Let's see. Oh wow, you're getting blasted now. I don't know, Sam, are you there? Great. I'm gonna leave it like this because I can actually see what I'm doing again. All right. Sam's giving me the go ahead. So now I can actually see my canvas a little bit better. I should have the ability to finish this up pretty quickly. What was I gonna do? I was saying I was gonna grab the purple, touch up a couple areas. Still got a little bit of yellow and gold. I was talking about doing a wash. I don't want to do that. I decided. Thinking about this area here, where it transitions from the like kind of chin bone flap to the or cheekbone. This little area here. Kind of thinking about going into that. Not sure exactly with what. Maybe that's where I'll use my neon green. Kind of almost like a highlight. Let's in the words of the seatbelts. 3, 2, 1, let's jam. Actually, I have a segment that's just guess the song that's stuck in my head. There's no predictability to it, but it's like the kind of perfect random that it's almost like you could just run into the right answer. Completely by accident. Right now, I'm just going to tell you that it's probably the way that my brain probably got here was I said the Cowboy Bebop song. 3, 2, 1, let's jam. And then because I grew up at the time where they were both airing on Adult Swim at around the same time, it immediately led to me getting the Yu Yu Hakusho theme stuck in my head, which is a very different song. And no shade, not as good as the Seatbelts theme for Cowboy Bebop Cult Tank. Not because the theme song to Yu Yu Hakusho isn't good. Just very few songs are ever going to be as good as Tank by the Seatbelts. And Yoko Kanno. I should also mention Yoko Kanno. All right. Well, I did the thing I said I was gonna do, and now it looks fucking sick. Looks tits, bruh. Oh, okay. Still not entirely sure how I'm gonna do these lips. I think I need to do something kind of wacky. I don't really want to. It's gonna be hard. Girl, I'm not here for a hard time. I'm here for a good time. Do I have a thinner? Uh, hmm. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Time to open myself, find something new, I'm gonna stop. It won't go away. My brain is having issues and it is causing audio issues. My apologies. All of you who may have been harmed by my actions here today. Um, just a big dumb goober. Hey. Ooh. Literally just talking to myself over here. You know. Oh, right. Okay, so we got this little brush out because I wanted to stick it in the mask's mouth. I'm a nasty freak. And also because I see green. I don't want to see. Oh, yeah. I remember what I was doing now. I wasn't even doing that specifically. I mean, kind of exactly what I'm doing. But I'm also trying to see how a little light wash will work in this area. So I'm getting a lot of this blue, and then I'm applying water in batches, thin out that color. There's a little gold left on this brush, and it's kind of mixing in, doing something very, very lovely over here. Let's see what happens here. Okay, that was fucking interesting. That was fucking interesting. Guess I'm just gonna use my shirt. Clean that up. Looks like I'm doing a little lippy on this friend here. Oh shit! This looks kind of dope. Baby. Come on. I'm gonna use that brush. It's too big. Put down to my little one. I'm just gonna do a little bit of that, like trying to get that little of that hot girl lip in there. You know what I mean? You know what I mean. I know what I mean. You know what I mean. This thing puffs out so much the moment water hits it. It's like, I want the level of saturation you are going to provide, but I do not want the mess that you will create. Why can you, an art supplies, not read my mind? That is very rude. I'm not wiping this up because I don't like it. I'm wiping this up because it's part of this technique. I don't know if I'm doing it right, but I'm doing it. Actually, I'll be right back. I need to go grab a little paper, paint per towel. Paper towel. Right? Pardon my sounds. Oh, pardon me. Oh my goodness. This paint per towel is pretty saturated with paint. I don't know when I did this, but I'm canceling myself because it is not cool what I did here. It was not cool. It was not hot. Can't. What are words that are not insults that you would be insulted by? I think about this a lot. You ever just call someone a hemoglobin? Watch their wheels turn for a second before realizing you're using nonsense words to try and insult them? I mean, it's not a nonsense word, but contextually it is. It doesn't make any sense. I think this stems from that whole like period of humor where it's like, oh my god, that's so random. Because I heavily indebted into that style of humor. It was part of who I am. And that is cringe. Toxic's great example, Sam. Thank you. Absolutely perfect kind of example of exactly this phenomenon. Just, you know, I think there's just something to the like who is having fun at that point? You know, who's having fun at the point where you're mad at somebody, you're trading insults back and forth. No one's having fun. No one in that argument, and no one spectating that argument is having any amount of fun, I would argue. So it's almost like a great time to try and have fun. Do you know what I mean? Does that make any sense? To throw some silly little wrenches into the works? Isn't that a fun old time? Some like very light wash turned into a very, very, very light wash, and now I have to mix one. It's just not doing anything now. There we go, bitch. Oh, can we also talk about how the word bitch is no longer like an insult? I mean, it is. Oh, obviously, it still is used to hurt people. But like, I use it so often. Yeah, exactly. I use it so often as a way to tell somebody I love you. Like I was telling you, I was watching watching a lot of these reality dating shows. And the amount of people and inanimate objects that I call bitch, I have completely decontextualized myself to that word. It's now just an exclamation of excitement. Now, I wouldn't recommend using this just willy-nilly, as, yeah, it can be still very painful. But there are certain contexts where you're not insulting someone because of, I mean, the gender they were born into or the way they present, things like that. You know, I think you're doing it. If you're not doing it that way, I think you're doing it right. Right? It's just a very lovely little word, or can be. I am here to promote its usage in those contexts. It's just a good word. In the same way piss is a good word. In the same way that fuck is a good word. We're not supposed to use these words. The only people telling us we're not supposed to, those people fucking suck. They're fucking nerds. People, they suck. They really, really suck. They're utter fucking nerds. I don't know why this became like a whole cheerleading chant routine, but that's what happened in my head. Now you're privy to all of this now, audience. Oh, this is the brush I was looking for, and also the consistency of paint I was looking for. We're imperfect though right now. It's like Margaritaville, but you know, cool people are there. Not to insult all of the Jimmy Buffett fans at once here, but also I don't care about you, coincidentally. Yeah, I mean, the reason, like, Margaritaville is kind of like one of those places where, like, if you got kicked out of the Applebee's for not wearing a mask enough times, it seems like that's where you end up, Margaritaville. I don't think that, I never pulled that weird right-wing, radical, reactionary loser kind of, like, image out of Jimmy Buffett's music. It's, like, too chill to be offensive, but also too chill to be good and enjoyable. It's like if like ska and reggae were white. All right, we're cutting propaganda now. No, yeah, it's true though. Yeah, that's fucking hilarious. I just had this. It just made me. I haha at my own ha-has. But yeah, I think that that's fairly accurate. You know, it's like uh, it's without rhythm. You know, it has a rhythm, obviously, but it's like the least danceable or fun kind of rhythm. It's chill, but without like enjoyment. It's like it's like when you just smoke a pound. Well, I mean, no one's smoking a pound. It's like you smoke a bunch of really potent weed, and you're just kind of like sitting on the couch, paralyzed, not really doing anything. Like just like whoa, I'm. This is very chill. I think it's that. That's the vibe I get out of Jimmy Buffett and his music. Oh no. No, no, no. No, no, no. We're not doing this, you son of a bitch. Okay. Crisis averted. Yeah. I also I'm not judging anybody if they like Jimmy Buffett. I'm sure that that's, you know, it's a vibe for people that I would know theoretically. I don't know if I actually know anyone who listens to Jimmy Buffett, but I don't imagine. I wouldn't put it past some people I know, I guess is all I'm trying to say here. I know a lot of people who listen to music in that kind of post-ironic way where it's just like, haha, lol, music funny. And I think that that's weird. That's just like my fucking opinion, bro. I take music probably more seriously than people should, while also not doing it anymore because it's too hard. Which might be a related thing. I'm not entirely sure. I do like doing music. I have been kind of fucking around here or there with new material. But it's just so stressful. I think I was talking a little bit about this last week, where after so many years of playing in bands, going to shows, doing open mics, and like performing music in so many different ways, at a certain point, I was just like not sure why I was doing it anymore. I wasn't having that much fun. I felt like it was a responsibility and not something I was enjoying. And I was also like really struggling. Like you know, our little punk band Boilermaker never really had fans, you know. Like I think there's definitely people who would say, "Yeah, I liked your guys' music," but It wasn't like we normally got certain people out to our shows. It was never like we were one of the sought-after local acts in Sonoma County's punk scene. And I thought we should be, but that doesn't mean that we were. Like, I thought we brought something unique and fun to the table, to the scene. We brought a kind of radical politics and stuff back to a very disinterested kind of local scene. And we had a lot of fun doing it. We did it in a way that was subversive and wasn't like, you know, your typical kind of like punk bands just playing fast, loud, you know, kind of stuff. I don't know. You can still find our Bandcamp. I wouldn't say that the recordings on there are our best by any stretch of the imagination. I think if you wanted to go find the best performance of us on the internet, it would be in a movie called Zeitgeist Orchestra. You can find on YouTube under I think the channel's Tribal Media, something like that. You can DM me if you can't find it and you're interested. But that was like the last 3 songs, well, not the last 3 songs, but 2 of the last songs we wrote as a band. And then 1 song that me and Zach have been playing since we were 16 or something like that, that our buddy Ryan wrote, or Captain Julian Albari. I think he wrote this, we were really cringe little atheists in high school. And our buddy Ryan wrote this song that was kind of like the most profound thing any of us had said about religion at that point. And Zach turned that into like a song. Like he didn't have the music for it, but he like had the idea for it. So me and Zach wrote like probably at least 2 different versions of the music for that song before eventually we started Boilermaker and solidified that into a like real put together song. And my partner sang that one. So you'll actually get to see my partner Kat if you go and watch that video. But we're like halfway, or like we're like I think in around the 30-minute mark is when we start playing in that. It was a cinema verite kind of thing, all improvised. Like it was basically a show that like our buddy filmed and put like effort into making into a narrative. Especially more in the edit, you know? But yeah, it was a lot of fun. And probably the best performance we have. It has my 2 favorite songs where I really get into. It was like I was saying last week, where I got really into writing like the stories, like storytelling as a solo artist. Well, this is the first time I really was able to cross that over into the band Boilermaker and like write songs that the lyrics I was super happy with the messages they were sending. One was called Douse It, the other one was called Quick Draw, and Douse It was like essentially a song about like younger generations moving progressively more further to the left, and the fear that typically is put into projected onto them by older generations, boomers, Xers, millennials. And yeah, it was kind of like a Children of the Corn kind of vibe. So like the perspective of it was from like the fear perspective, the perspective trying to keep everything traditional, trying to hold up the hierarchical and hegemonic kind of structures of our society, coming from a place of fear, worrying about the future. Quick Draw was like very much more like direct in its criticism and was kind of like about like a sci-fi kind of story about the future of like if we continue venturing into space, the governments of the world now, how that would transfer over into intergalactic colonialism, essentially. What that would look like, especially with an unregulated free market kind of running rampant in that kind of space, because it's like we don't even have like international, well, there's some like places in the ocean where essentially most laws are non-existent, like outside of national borders. And they call this international waters. I'm sure you've heard this in movies and stuff like that. And while a lot of the time those depictions are even exaggerated, it's still pretty wild the shit that you can get away with. Once you kind of expand that into the universe, it would be very hard to keep the free market from doing some very, very wrong things, if not regulated very heavily. Which, if you look at what's happening right now, doesn't look like any of the world's governments have any interest in regulating that kind of thing. Not many of them, anyway. So, yeah, this was coming from that place, and me kind of like coming so quick draw. It's a reference to like the riff was really fun and bouncy, and I think the prompt that Zach gave me was something like Space Cowboys, which we were talking about Cowboy Bebop earlier. So my immediate thought went to bounty hunting, and then I expanded upon that, and the story kind of started unfolding where it was like the bounty hunter that I was writing from the perspective of the narrator of this story, the bounty hunter, was kidnapping a prince from the moon colony. So, of course, we go up into space, and feudal systems of government would start to emerge, if we were not vigilant in guarding against that kind of action. So I'm speculating, of course, but not entirely without merit. So, this character, the narrator, he caps the prince from the moon and goes off to hold him in a undisclosed location to collect the ransom on his head, and gets caught up in a dogfight going to the undisclosed location before winning that dogfight and sending back the king and queen of the moon a piece of their child to kind of like say, I'm serious, stop sending people after me. And having this kind of like internal monologue going on around this point in the story that's like this kind of madness, driven by cultural expectations, driven by the fear of poverty, of being left impoverished and having too many bills to actually be able to afford this bounty hunter, obviously being someone upholding a belief in the system while also living outside of that system, and thinking that makes them some kind of great hero. And in fact, it turns out that it just tears you apart internally. So yeah, I don't know. I could expand on this even further, but yeah, that was our time. Should flip this around so you can see. We've got pretty much this completed face. I don't know if I'm going in anywhere else. Like I mentioned earlier, I might go into this area here, kind of around the where this copper red kind of comes off and into the cheekbone here. Maybe tying those colors together. I did want to go back in. That's right, I remember now. I did want to go in with some green. Clean up some line work and things like that. Let's see what this green looks like on top of this other green. Funny that I play a bard in Ironhearts, because that is by and large one of my actual real life goals. Always wanted to be a traveling minstrel, you know, that kind of vibe. I had my way. Yeah, I would be, I mean, really in an ideal world, what I would be doing right now with my life would be going city to city, making little movies that are about 10 to 30 minutes long with a bunch of people who don't typically get to make movies. And taking those to each new city, having a premiere for the last one we made, kind of like a traveling circus kind of vibe. Picking up new people along the way, taking them with us. I always wanted to join the circus when I was a kid. That was like literally one of the things that I used to think about. It's like, man, I knew I wanted to perform ultimately without really being able to verbalize that ambition or that desire. I knew what I wanted to do, and that was perform. And eventually, I learned kind of what that looks like for me. It's much more than performing alone. I don't have as much fun doing that as I do performing with others, especially people that I care very much about. One of the things that really draws me into filmmakers like Kevin Smith, who it seems like his entire career is just doing almost exactly that, being able to just make little movies with your friends. I think there's something really beautiful about that. Yeah, I've met a handful of people that are like-minded enough that when I tell them this idea, they are into it, but never enough people to actually make that dream a reality. I'm only 36. Still possible. Yeah, I I hold opinions that companies that make it so that companies like who make the majority of media in the world would never want me involved in their productions. I've got a big fucking mouth. And I'm pretty fucking proud of that. You know, there's a lot of fucking cowards on this planet. I've been told a lot of times to, Weston, you gotta learn how to pick your battles. And it's always bothered me. And it wasn't until more recently in my lifetime that I figured out why it bothered me so much. And it's because these motherfuckers oppressing us, they don't have to pick their battles. So I'm just supposed to wait to speak up. I'm just supposed to be patient and wait till things get so bad that I have to do something. No fucking way. So they said pick your battles, and I said, alright, I pick fucking all of them. I don't recommend it, but I do sympathize with others that feel very similar to me. I think it's important to recognize the reality that we live in. I think it's frustrating for me. People tell me, that I think it's frustrating that so much of what goes on in front of us is exactly what how do I be nice about this on stream? Basically, there's lots of clever use of euphemisms that we refer to what we are living under. And not a lot of the ability to be direct and be honest with what we are living with, which is class warfare. We are in the middle of it. It's not crazy to think this. All you have to do is watch the news. And that's not because that's what they're pitching us. They would never in a million years tell us. It is against their interests to let us know that it is going on right outside your door. It leaves it up to people like me and maybe like you to actually help deliver this message. It's imperative that we learn and try and thwart the efforts of the ruling class to further subjugate us and our comrades. I don't understand that whole pick your battle stuff. And I am probably never going to have the career that I've worked my whole life to get. You know, being an actor has been one of my primary objectives for most of my entire life. As far back as my memories go, that's what I wanted to do. As I mentioned, performance, that's all it really is. That is my true desire. But film is something that I fell in love with as a medium. I did a lot of theater, and I think theater can, well, be pretty fucking bougie. Audience is typically pretty wealthy. Those people are even unaware that they are so detached from reality that they can't even tell they are among the richest on this planet. And that was frustrating for me as a performer, especially because that perception was around even at the high school I went to, where we were obviously not being given any funding. We were doing all of our own crowdfunding and things like that to try and get our plays off the ground. Little to no assistance from the school. And yeah, so even with that being the case, our the perception of our department or of theater generally by the public was that, well, this isn't for us because this is, bourgeois movies, the theater. Not that, there was a lot of class consciousness in Reading, but enough of it to know that typically, that's not affordable, for working class people. I think there's plenty of theaters trying to do the work to make it, to change that public perception. It's going to take a lot of time and a lot of effort to actually make it to that point. In film, while still having some of that kind of perception, is definitely something that people can and have done with next to nothing and been fairly successful at doing it. And eventually, even in some cases, being so successful that it lifts them out of the harsh material conditions which they were born into, which is intensely and incredibly rare in the United States. Which is why so many people pursue that, in large part. Because, well, many of you listening will know that if you start out with very little or nothing, not having nothing anymore becomes one of your goals. Because it is fucking hard. Everything is harder when you are poor. Every single thing. Grow up. You want to find your way out. Going on a tangent. Basically, only reason I bring this up is that, yeah, these things are possible, virtually in every artistic medium. It is possible to grow past the material conditions you were born into, especially if you were born, well, especially if you're born already fairly upper middle class. You can actually become middle class or upper middle class someday. But the reality is that people who do come from poverty, from really hard, difficult situations in lives, is that it is exceedingly rare that we will actually make it in any field, especially entertainment field, without significant outside interference or assistance in getting past that hurdle. That's depressing. I'm gonna go pee. I will be right back in just a few minutes. Are you there, Sam? Oh, I'm gonna take 10, probably. All right, bud. Thank you. Hey friends, we're back. I have been working on this mask and yucking away this evening. Hope you're having a fun time. I keep saying I'm pretty much done with this, and then I go, oh wait, there's like 10 things I wanted to do. Not entirely sure what is exactly left here to do. I'm currently applying that neon green a couple of little places here and there. And it's really blending in really well. It's so slight a difference in color that it almost is kind of just highlighting. Part of me wants to mix in some of that blue that'll give us the color of the mask, like almost exactly. But I know there's going to be a certain small amount of white that'll need to go in to level out that color enough to give us this kind of pale green. Just wondering if I should. I did it better. You know? Will it deliver the desired effect? I don't know. We're going to find out. We are about to find out. Maybe we won't. Maybe we'll get lucky. We won't even need to mix any other colors in. This neon green is so bright and take us to exactly where we want to go. And we're already basically there. A little more of this blue. See? Yeah, we're there. All right. Well, that wasn't too hard. I guess I'll just start going over those places where I feel like I may have overdone it. Or the line is a little fugitive or things like that. It's working pretty good. I end up needing to mix a little more color, but that's okay. We have plenty of paint to do it with. Spots where I definitely smudged. We're just going and quickly covering up those little areas here and there. doing after the stream. I'm gonna play some Breath of the Wild. It's been a minute. I've been just craving it. I don't know why. Maybe it's this mask. I'm gonna bring in a little of my Legend of Zelda into this. Not intentionally. But maybe I am. Maybe that's what's happening here. Either way, that's what I'm thinking about doing. Get out of here. Maybe eat some food. I do like eating the food. Do you like eating the food? Might need a little more green. Yeah, baby. Oh, no. I'm not there. I thought we were. I was wrong. Oh. Wonder if I can just clean it, because I got a big old switch. I can just take some of that. That's a whole bunch of paint. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab it with a brush. I'm going to scrape down that brush onto my palette. I'm so glad I didn't have to get any white out. I was thinking I might have to do that to get back to this color. I didn't. That worked great. I am happy. Happy. You know what? My hands are sturdy or more stable than they usually are. That's something we're celebrating today. Especially with how shaky they've been lately. Oh my goodness. Hell yeah. Yeah, we're happy. That's looking great. That's looking gay great. Make some more paint. Fortunately, I didn't wanna. But it's okay. Gonna be fine. It's gonna be great. Okay. That's not awesome. And it's fun, and it's cool. The cats say it's dark, and that means it's food time. Why are you still painting? Don't you know you must feed me now? They're so much different than the cats I used to have because they were all like traumatized. No, it's not funny, but it's literally how my family used to deal with cats. They were really bad with cats. Dogs get to their own little place to chill out. They're allowed inside. They go outside. Well, they're usually really well trained dogs. They're well cared for. You know, when I was a kid, that was like how we did dogs. You know, we like dogs. But the cats always ended up outside cats. We lived in a rural area where that meant there was going to be a lot of lizards and birds and other uh, creatures in nature that were going to be harmed by the cats. And just didn't really have, didn't understand. I was just a little guy. Now I get it a lot more. Kit Kat's a lot better. And yeah, I think I think ultimately it's just kind of funny how different uh, my roommates' cats are compared to like ones that I had when I was a kid because they were all like a couple of hunters that always leave like dead things at the by the door. And these cats get eaten and if they were going outside. They didn't have to build up all those defenses. It kind of, gets into this is more social commentary if you think about it. We're here. What we're here to do, man. What we doing? Art and anarchy here. What are we calling it now? Anarchy. Anarchy. I was just thinking. I've been thinking about it a little bit. I think I might put it on Facebook or something. I'm thinking about changing the name of the program. I made a couple of silly names. Anarchy is one of my favorite silly names. Anarchy. Okay. Hard part is over. Now we're cruising. And not for bruising. We're cruising for art. We're art cruising. We art cruising. I'm sorry, I'm done now. I apologize to anyone who was offended by my actions on this day. Thank you. I try. Okay. I think I nailed the eyebrow. Oh no, there was a couple of places I wanted to go. Oh, damn it. Do I have to mix up more paint? I don't want to. I've gotten lucky 3 times. There's no way I'm going to keep getting lucky. Hmm. I might have not. I might have much more paint. It's looking pretty good. There's a little problem. It is drying a little bit darker than the actual tone. Now that I've seen it dry. It's going on there the right hue, but it is drying not the right hue. We're done. Yeah. Like, I think we're done. Done. Like, I think this piece is done. Mm. Thank you. Yeah. No, I'm just vibing. I mean, we've gone back over the places where there was a little bit of uh, like overfill. Straightened out most of those lines. It is drying a slightly different shade. It's a little darker. Like I was saying, there could have probably been a little spot of white in there. That would have helped it. But I don't think I'm going to worry about that right now. For all intents and purposes, this is a finished piece of art. And that's a beautiful thing. I'm just going over with a very wet brush, kind of like the boundaries of where I filled, and see kind of how that dries. It might dry in a way that kind of like allows it to just blend. It might not. We'll find out in a little bit here. Yeah. Since we're so close to the finish here, and a lot of this process is just going to be waiting, and more waiting. I did want to open it up if anyone has any questions in chat. We have another. Oh wow, yeah, we have another half an hour or so. So I'm not going nowhere yet. Too much wet. I'm gonna try some of this wet. Yeah. Feel free to ask any questions you might have in the chat. Yeah, we can turn this into a little Q&A before we wrap up. Of course, yeah, there's a lot going on this month that you might be curious about. I'm pretty open, willing to talk about anything if you have questions. I am Weston. Almost question when you put a Q on it in the front instead of the W. In case you didn't know that. It's not really doing much in the way of like trying to blend the two colors. That's okay. It is a little less harsh. So maybe it's being more effective than I'm giving it credit for being. Just using tight little circles, circular motion with the brush on that very edge of where I laid the paint down. just trying to break up. Yeah. The paint. Yeah. Yes, I do still have some colors. I do have this stick that needs to get painted. Let's do some of that, huh? One color on this thing. I think I might add some down here as well. That looks really nice. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. Yeah, I'm just throwing a couple of colors on here. This yellow is just a base coat. Had some left over and wanted to use it. But then I'm gonna go over that with the gold bit once this dries. Probably off stream, but maybe not. Maybe I'll still be going by then. Just realized I put myself in a bit of a predicament because most of this is still wet and it's wet almost the entire length of it. And I have to find somewhere to put it. I guess I could put it in. I honestly, yeah, Sam says wave it around until it's dry, and I'm like, yeah, that might actually work right now. That might be best case scenario. But this works, at least for the very present moment. See if it falls or something. I'm being real with you. I don't have much faith in this situation. But that's how it sat for at least a couple days without falling, just in very different circumstances. Cats are coming alive. They're very much ready to eat food, and they still have another hour to wait. So at any moment, the big cat might come running up to me, smack my hands while I'm doing something, because that's just what he's been doing the last couple of days. I think it's partly stress over our roommate Scott being out of town. Poor little Sam. He always has a hard time with Scott leaving. Poor little thing. Yeah, this is looking pretty dope. Thank you. Yeah. I hope if anybody is interested, definitely let me know. I'm gonna be. I want to do more of these, and to do more of these means I need to make some money with some of the ones that I already have. So, if you know people who like weird masks, send them my way. I would like to make them a mask on a commission or sell them a mask I have already made. Actually, that reminds me. Yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah, I'm just kind of thinking about what I should do next. If I should do anything next. You know me, I tend to go kind of crazy with color, and sometimes kind of do too many colors. I want to keep this fairly simple and kind of just let the viewer see the texture and the geometry of it. There is something about this beard though that I'm not in love with. Interesting thing is I put enough layers on that I could literally just scrape off that texture. I've been cutting it sometimes with a knife to even certain parts out once it's dried, since this process began. Um, but yeah, so there's definitely a possibility of me just grabbing a nice sharp knife and just whacking it off. Poor word selection there, but I don't think anyone cares. Yeah, pretty happy with how this has turned out. Oh, then I touched the color that I was like waiting to dry. Why I started not doing things again. It's fine. It's just a base coat. Thank you. But yeah, this has been quite the adventure with you, my friends. Thanks for sticking with me and watching me make this thing for weeks and weeks at this point. It's definitely a creative project that I really am happy that I did. It's been kind of chronicling a very interesting time in my life. Yeah, I don't know. I've talked a lot about that whole process. I've been talking the entire time I've been processing this piece. In fact, I've worked a little bit off stream, but most of this piece was done while on Twitch. So that's pretty wild. I think aside from it's the first physical piece that's the case with the landscape I was doing several months ago. A lot of that was done before I ever got onto stream with it. So this is its own kind of unique experiment in a way, performance, if you will. You know, been a very unique experience for myself, like even just artistically. Yeah, thanks for being a part of that. That's real special to me. Hope it's been nice for you too. Yeah, this yellow dried really quickly, so I'm already going in with the gold. I figured, why not just leave it like it is, right? To worry about having a place to hold it by. Nice. Actually, what's really nice is this green is actually one of the best like base coats for this gold. It sits really nice on top of that green. I was saying it kind of has that like kind of rusted metal vibe. Oh boy, can't tell the. Can y'all hear the sirens? It would be. I mean, I almost want you to just listen to the. Like, I want to get a better mic so you can hear what's going on in the background right now. There's like these sirens, and then I can't tell if the neighbors are having a really bad time or a really good time. Like the neighborhood kids, they could be crying or they could be laughing. I'm not really entirely sure. But the two sounds, yeah, those two sounds on top of each other, it's a vibe. Not one I prescribe, but it's a vibe. Yeah. We might be getting visited by a kitten. Brace yourselves. Anything could happen. This gold is really nice. Gotta say. It's that fancy blick paint. We're gonna want a little bit more. Oh, geez, yeah. We're probably wrapping up in the next little bit here, huh? I got really carried away with this painting. So, I should start doing a little bit of an outro. Yes. So, what did we cover today? We talked about a lot. Talked about 10th Kingdom. We talked about kind of the goals being met for February, and hopefully some little bit of financial security coming mine and my partner's way. But we are still looking for work as artists, and contributions would help us immensely. You can hit my Venmo down below. Also, feel free to follow me on social media. You can find me at Lava Submersible on TikTok and on Instagram. Spelled just like it is here. And on either of those sites, you'll see some of the fundraising efforts as well as some of my art. And you can contact me there for any commissions you might have for artwork of any kind. So, including if you have potential filming opportunities. Because I am a pretty fucking talented actor. And your productions be lucky to have me. I do have previous work I can show you. I'm more than happy to audition, all that good stuff. want to do a big shout out to our producer, Sam, here at Nerdcrafty. Sam does just about everything, and I wouldn't be here tonight without Sam, who is multitasking at home and putting out 1,000 fires a day. And just want to make sure we're showing Sam all the love that they deserve. So thank you, Sam. Much appreciate you taking time out of your day to help me run my fun little art stream. And I want to thank all of you out there for joining me today, for hanging out, for watching me paint, watching me absolutely just zone out today. I know I talked quite a bit, but I also did a lot of just slack-jawed painting. And yeah, I had a lot of fun, so I hope you did as well. What else? Yes. So, it's up in the air about streaming next week. We should let you know now. Sam, like I said, has a lot of things going on right now. Housing issues, basically, they're going through. And may need that time to take care of business. We'll be letting you know in the coming next few days here. So keep a watch on the social medias, and we'll be letting you know. Or join the Discord, where we will also be notifying you and everyone else there about all of how we're moving and shaking in the world. You'll also be able to find links to the website, nerdcrafty.com, to all of the other places we keep content on the internet. If you're watching this on Twitch live with me right now, think about giving us a follow if you haven't already. And we are almost at the point, or maybe at the point, where you can even be a subscriber and help us. Yeah, so feel free to sub with your Amazon Prime subscription and help us keep bringing you wonderful content like this and all of the other things that we do at Nerdcrafty. You can also find our Patreon at Patreon. Wait, I don't have the link memorized yet. Stan will drop it in the comments or in the chat. Perfect. So yeah, it is on the screen right around this area here. So that's where you can find our Patreon if you want to help us that way. I just appreciate you all being here. I hope you're taking care of yourself out there. I always get this time of the year definitely never easy, but we're getting through it together. I appreciate you being here on that journey with me. Other than that, I think that's about it for us today. I'm just waiting for stuff to dry now. So thank you for joining, and we'll see you either next week or the week after right here at twitch.tv/nerdcraftylv every Tuesday, 3:30 p.m. Pacific Standard to around 7. And yeah, thank you so much. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and good journey to you, my friends.